You have more money than anyone in your life has ever seen in one place. Not your neighbors, not your oldest friend, not the woman at the dry cleaner who has been pressing your shirts for 7 years and asks about your kids by name. You are not hiding exactly. You are just not performing. And in a world where almost everyone is performing something, the absence of it reads as ordinary. That is the point. That has always been the point. It started not with a plan, but with a question. You were 31, sitting in the waiting room of a tire shop on a Wednesday afternoon, watching a machine that sold bottled water and granola bars to people who had nothing better to do than wait. You were not thinking about business. You were thinking about how long it was taking. But something made you look at the machine differently. Not as a customer. As someone trying to understand who it belonged to and what it was actually doing. You took out your phone and started looking into it. 40 minutes later, you had the rough economics of the vending machine business in your head, and something had shifted. You were not looking for a side hustle. You were not trying to get rich. You were looking at a simple question. What if money came in without you having to show up? Not retirement money, not someday money. Just a small, steady, reliable stream that ran whether you were paying attention or not. That question did not leave you for about 3 weeks, and then you answered it. Your first purchase was a used soft drink machine for $800, placed in the back hallway of an insurance office in exchange for a small revenue split with the building manager. The first month, it generated $160 in gross sales. After product cost and the location fee, you cleared $94. Your coworker that week made more than that in a single afternoon of overtime. Nobody congratulated you. Nobody knew. You sat with that $94 number on a Sunday evening and felt something you did not have a name for. It was not pride, and it was not disappointment. It was something quieter than either. It was the feeling of a proof of concept. The machine worked. The architecture worked. The money came in while you were home eating dinner. That was enough. You placed a second machine, then a third. You started looking at everything differently, not as a consumer, but as someone trying to see the ownership layer underneath. The coin laundromat near your apartment. Who owned the building? The small parking lot behind the hardware store. Who collected that revenue? The billboard on the highway overpass you drove under every morning. Who owned the land it stood on? Most people never ask these questions. The answers are not glamorous, but they are real. And the math behind them is consistent in a way that very few things in life are. At 34, you bought your first laundromat. It was in a working-class neighborhood, 16 machines, a lease with 4 years remaining, and an owner who had been running it alone for a long time and was ready to stop. The books were not clean, but the cash flow underneath them was genuine. You paid $62,000. The first full year it returned just under $40,000 in net income. You did not celebrate. You used it as the foundation for the next move. This is the part that does not make a good story. There is no single moment, no dramatic turn, no scene worth filming. Just a series of quiet decisions made at kitchen tables and in parked cars and in the back offices of businesses that most people drive past without a second thought. A second laundromat 2 years later. A small self-storage facility the year after that, purchased through a county auction that drew almost no competition because it was held on a Tuesday morning and required 3 hours of your time and research that most people simply would not bother with. 2 parcels of land along a regional highway, each with a billboard lease, generating steady monthly ground rent from an advertising company that signed a 12-year contract and sends a payment automatically every 30 days. None of it was interesting. That was the design. Your accountant has been doing books for small business owners for over 20 years. She has seen everything from immaculate spreadsheets to receipts kept in grocery bags. She does not impress easily. The first time she went through your full portfolio, she was quiet for a long time before she looked up and said it was the most deliberately unglamorous collection of assets she had ever reviewed. She meant it as an observation, maybe a mild concern. You heard it as a compliment. Because that was exactly what you had been building. Not a brand, not a story, not something you could explain at a dinner party in a way that made people lean forward. Just a quiet system of assets that solved basic human problems and generated cash every single month, regardless of what the headline said. People always need clean clothes. They always need somewhere to park. Buildings are always getting dirty, and someone always has to clean them. Drivers on a highway will always see what is on the billboard, whether they choose to or not. These needs do not go away in a downturn. They do not get disrupted by a new app. They do not require you to be interesting or visible or right about where the market is heading. They just keep running. Load after load, car after car, month after month. There is a man you run into occasionally at a local business association meeting. He is always dressed in a way that communicates money before he says a word. Expensive watch, car that announces itself before you see the driver, conversation that circles back frequently to his portfolio and his projections and the people he is connected to. He is not a bad person. He is performing, and he has gotten very good at it. When he asks what you do, you tell him you own a few small businesses, laundromats, a storage unit operation, some land. You watch his face make the calculation. The car you drove here in is 7 years old. Your jacket is from a department store. Laundromats. He smiles, nods politely, and finds someone else to talk to within about 90 seconds. That moment is worth more to you than anything else that will happen tonight. The second someone underestimates you, they stop paying attention to you. And the second they stop paying attention to you, you can move freely. The ordinary appearance is not modesty. It is not a philosophical position about materialism. It is a practical tool you use every single day. The vehicle that reliably gets you from one location to another without drawing any attention costs you nothing compared to what it would cost to maintain the image the other man is maintaining. Every dollar not spent on appearance is a dollar compounding somewhere else. The math is not complicated. It is just unpopular. Your house is paid off. It is a 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood. Your neighbors think you are a small business owner who manages his money carefully. They are not wrong. They are simply missing a significant number of zeros. You do not correct them. You have learned, slowly and at some cost, that visibility is expensive in ways that have nothing to do with money. The moment people understand what you have, they stop relating to you and start relating to the number. Conversations change. Requests appear. Family members you have not heard from in years develop a sudden interest in reconnecting. People at church mention investment opportunities. Someone you care about brings up a business idea that just needs a little outside support. You have watched this happen to other people. You have seen the way money changes the temperature of a room the moment it becomes visible. So, you keep the room ordinary. It costs almost nothing and returns something that money cannot buy. The ability to move through your own life without becoming a target. Your closest friend has known you since you were both in your 20s. He was there at your father's funeral. He is the kind of person who calls on a random afternoon with no reason except to check in. Those friendships are rare, and you know it. Several months ago, he called about a business he had been building for 3 years. A food catering operation with a real following and genuine demand. He wanted to expand into a permanent location. He had found the right space. He needed $70,000. You could have transferred that amount before the call ended, from your phone, sitting in your car, and not felt the difference in your account by the following morning. You did not do it, not because you did not want to help, because you have seen what happens when money moves faster than understanding. Capital given to someone who has not yet built the operational foundation to hold it does not solve the problem. It speeds up whatever is already there. If the margins are not understood, the money makes them harder to understand. If the lease terms are not examined, the money just buys a faster version of an avoidable mistake. And when the money is gone, something in the friendship often goes with it. Instead, you asked if you could come by on Saturday morning. You sat at his kitchen table for 3 hours with a notepad. You went through his numbers line by line. You found expenses that were quietly reducing his margin in ways he had not noticed. You asked about the lease on the new space, the escalation clauses, the personal guarantee, what the business looked like in month 20 if revenue came in 20% below the projection. He did not know all the answers, not because he was not capable, because no one had ever sat with him and asked them before. You came back the following Saturday, and the one after that. By the 4th visit, he had renegotiated 2 supplier contracts, found a small business lending program he qualified for, and restructured his timeline in a way that no longer required outside capital at all. He got the keys to the new space 6 weeks later. He called that night. He said he could not have done it without you. You did not tell him what you could have written the check for. You probably never will. That is not about withholding. It is about understanding what the story needed to be. His story, built on his decisions, is his in a way that a check from you never could have made it. But there are parts of your life that nobody walks into. That does not get easier. Not the privacy itself. You have made your peace with that. It is the specific weight of sitting across from someone you love while they work through something you could resolve in 60 seconds, knowing that resolving it would take something from them that the struggle was in the process of building. You sit with that. You have gotten better at sitting with it. It is still a weight. The email arrives on a Thursday morning while you are standing in the plumbing section of a hardware store. One of your laundromat locations has a slow drain in the utility sink, and you stopped on your way past because it was convenient. You are holding two different drain products, trying to remember what type of pipe runs under that particular sink when your phone buzzes. It is from your accountant. Quarterly portfolio summary. You almost put the phone back in your pocket. Something in the number visible in the preview stops you. You set the drain cleaner down on the shelf. You open the email. You read the summary line once, then again, more slowly. Your verified total net worth, across all assets, has crossed $400 million. You are standing under fluorescent lights. Somewhere in the back of the store, a piece of equipment is beeping as it moves. A man 2 feet away from you is comparing prices on pipe fittings. Nobody is looking at you. Nobody in this building has any idea. The number exists in an email on a phone held by a person trying to remember what kind of pipe runs under a utility sink in a coin laundromat. You thought this moment would feel different. You had imagined some version of it over the years. A shift, a physical sensation, some acknowledgement from the world that something significant had just been confirmed. There is none of that. There is just the plumbing aisle, the overhead light, the quiet hum of a building full of people going about their day, and a number on a screen that arrived the same way every other number has arrived. Without ceremony, without applause, without a single person around you knowing what just happened. You reply to your accountant with 4 words. Got it. Looks right. Then you pick the drain cleaner back up, take a photo of the label to send to your property manager, and walk to the register. In the car, you sit for a moment before starting the engine. You think about the first machine, the $94, the Sunday evening when you sat with that number and felt something you could not name. You feel the same thing now. Exactly the same thing, just at a different scale. And that tells you something. It tells you the feeling was never about the number. It was about the system working the way you built it to work. Quietly, without anyone watching, without anyone in a hardware store having any idea, you start the engine. The drain at the laundromat is not going to fix itself. You drive back the same way you came. Tomorrow the machines will run. The parking revenue will post. The billboard leases will continue without requiring a single minute of your attention. The world will keep moving, and you will move through it in the same ordinary way you always have, in a car with miles on it, and nothing about your appearance that suggests anything beyond comfortable and careful. Somewhere this week, someone will spend money to look like they have it. You will notice. You will say nothing. And you will drive home in your paid-off car to your paid-off house, and the gap between how your life looks and what it actually is will remain exactly what you built it to be. Invisible, deliberate, and entirely yours.